Oh my goodness. I think I'm late. I'm an hour late. What in the world happened? This is Vinnie. This is the world according to Vinnie. Have you had that moment? Have you had that moment when you're supposed to fall back, spring forward? Have you had that? I know I have. So I thought what I would do is talk about daylight savings time, the history of it. But first, I've got my shirt. It's what I do. I smoke cigars and I know things. Today, I'm going to hopefully give you some information you didn't know about daylight savings time. I'm smoking the Micallef, I hope I'm pronouncing this right because I'm new to this, Prominente. Hope so. Ambassadors, cut me some slack. 5.5 by 58. It's a Robusto Grande. Medium to full. I guess my palate has changed. I used to be mild to medium. I'm medium to full now, especially with cigars like this. The wrapper is a San Andreas Habano wrapper, which is really exciting. And then you've got Dominican Republican, Panamanian, and Nicaraguan binders and fillers. It's a delicious cigar, so highly recommended. Anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand. And this is Sunday Funday. Little learning experience. But let's go into daylight savings time in the United States. The U.S. is one of about 70 countries around the world that has daylight savings time, but Hawaii and most of Arizona do not in the United States. Arizona is the only state in the mainland U.S. that does not use DST, but there are exceptions. Daylight savings times in the United States began each year on the second Sunday in March, when clocks are set forward 1 hour, and they're turned back to standard time on the first Sunday in November. And that's when daylight savings times end. And as I said, not all states use daylight savings time. Hawaii, of course, that's Hawaii Standard Time, is observed all year, and most of Arizona, which follows Mountain Standard Time year-round in Arizona. The Navajo Nation uses daylight savings time to stay sync with its territory extending to Utah and New Mexico. That's why Arizona, I thought it was the whole state, but it is the Navajo. Indiana, for my folks here in Indiana, after having abstained from changing its clock since 1970, decided to join the National Daylight Savings Time regime in 2006. None of the U.S. dependencies like American Samoa, Guam, Puerto Rico, they do not use daylight savings time. Some states want to remove it. I can tell you, if you're at the cigar shop at the office, we're all kind of like, a lot of us are saying no. Pull it. Proposals to stay on the standard time or move to full time appear on the U.S. legislative agenda almost every year. Since 2015, more than 200 bills and resolutions have been going on and on and on. So you get it. They need, I guess, congressional approval to abolish the time change for this to happen. Congress first has to pass a federal law allowing states to observe it. Well, as we know, that's never going to happen because they can't decide what's going to be on the buffet. They'd probably go, nuts. By law, all clock changes in the U.S. occur at 2 a.m. That's the deal. However, since the U.S. spans several time zones, the clock changes, while occurring at the same local time in each zone, do not happen simultaneously. Okay. In Europe, it's the other way around. The continent begins and ends its daylight saving period at 1. This means that these changes happen simultaneously across Europe. When did it start in the USA? In 1916, during World War I, Germany became the first country to adopt daylight savings time to save energy for the war effort. Many countries across Europe soon followed. In the U.S., fast time, as it was called then, I remember my mom and dad going, it's fast time, slow time, was introduced in 1918. The initiative was sparked by Robert Garland, a Pittsburgh industrialist who had encountered the idea in the United Kingdom. Only 7 months later, DST was repealed, but some cities, Pittsburgh, Boston, New York, continue to use it. Now, wartime and peacetime, in 1942, at the height of World War II, President Franklin D. Roosevelt reintroduced the measure, instituting year-round daylight saving time in the U.S., referred to as Wartime Dst. It was from February 1942 to September 3rd, 1945. During that time, U.S. Time zones were called Eastern Wartime, Mountain Wartime, Central Wartime. That's interesting. I'd never heard that. That's the first time. So the rule since 1966, so from 45 to 66, there was no uniform rules for daylight savings times in the U.S. This caused widespread confusion, especially for trains, buses. Oh my goodness, could you imagine trains? Woo. As a result, the Uniform Time Act of 1966 was established. It granted U.S. states the ability to opt out of DST. The law provided a framework for nationwide synchronization, starting on the last Sunday of April and then on the last Sunday of October. During 1973 oil embargo, the U.S. Congress ordered a year-round DST period lasting January of 74 to April of 75. The rationale was to study the effects of seasonal time change or energy consumption. Following staunch opposition from the public and the realization that the measure yielded only modest energy savings. Here's the pros and cons. Energy Policy Act of 2005. After the energy crisis was over in 76, the United States schedule, daylight savings time schedule, was revised several times throughout the years. From 87 to 2006, the country observed daylight saving times for about 7 months. The current schedule was introduced by the Energy Policy of 2005, and it has been followed since 2007. And the history, daylight saving time is used to save energy and make better use of daylight. It was the first used in 1908 in Thunder Bay, Canada. What daylight savings time is: a seasonal time change, meaning measure where clocks are set ahead of standard time, usually by 1 hour. The sun rises and sets later on the clock than the day before. So today, about 40% of countries worldwide use it to make better use of daylight and to conserve energy. So Canada in 1908, while Germany and Austria were first countries to use daylight saving time in 1916, it's a little known fact that a few hundred Canadians beat German Empire by 8 years. July 1st, 1908, the residents of Port Arthur, Ontario, today's Thunder Bay, turned their clocks forward by 1 hour to start the world's first daylight savings time period. Other locations in Canada followed suit in 2014. Regina, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, Brandon, and Manitoba in 1916. Interesting, So Germany, Germany's polarization did not catch on globally until Germany really started, kind of really pushed it in 1916. So that's interesting, and they did that for the war efforts. So, who invented daylight savings time? New Zealand scientist George Vernon Hudson and British builder William Willett. In 1895, Hudson presented a paper to the Wellington Philosophical Society proposing a 2-hour shift forward in October and a 2-hour shift back in March. There was interest in the idea, but it never was followed through. And in 1905, independent from Hudson, British builder Willett suggested setting the clocks at 20 minutes on each of the 4 Sundays of April and switching them back the same amount each 4 Sundays in September. Total 8 time switches per year. Could you imagine that, kids? We would be going crazy. So that would be insane. That is absurd news. I do a lot of absurd news. Benjamin Franklin, though, was brought up, said that he was the father of daylight savings time. They credited Benjamin Franklin with being the first to suggest seasonal time change. However, the idea voiced by the American inventor and politician in 1784 can hardly be described as fundamental for the development of modern daylight savings time. After all, it did not even involve turning the clocks. In a letter to the editor of the Journal of Paris, which was entitled "An Economic Project for Diminishing the Cost of Light," he just suggests that Parisians could economic candle usage. What's more, Franklin meant it as a joke. So, although modern daylight saving time has been used for about 100 years, ancient civilizations are known to have engaged in comparable practices thousands of years ago. Roman water clocks used different scales for different months of the year to adjust the daily schedules to their solar time. So today, daylight savings time is now used in 70 countries worldwide, affects over 1 billion people every year. The beginning and end dates vary from one country to another, which is very strange. Anyway, so that is daylight savings time, and in a nutshell. So I wanted to bring it up. Don't forget, you're running late. I'm going to post this. This will be up so early Sunday, but it'll be too late if you got to be anywhere. Sorry. So this is Vinnie. This is the World According to Vinnie. If you like my Sunday Funday stuff, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and then you know when it's coming up. If you happen to be buying some stuff on Amazon, I'm going to have a link at the bottom. If you click that link and use it, doesn't cost you an extra cent. What happens is Amazon helps me out and the channel a little bit so I can continue bringing different things to you. So that's it. That's daylight savings time. Next week, it's St. Patrick's Day. Vinny's got something special for St. Patrick's Day. So you take care. This is Vinny. This is the World According to Vinny. Enjoy a cigar today. It's Sunday, a little cloudy. Have a good day. Take care.